Roadman. Today I sit down with Mads Würtz Schmidt of Pa Racing. This is a really interesting conversation. Mads transitioned from a successful World Tour career into gravel. He won Tracker last season, fourth in Unbound this year. The focus of this conversation is stuff that he wished he knew about gravel cycling when he was starting out his gravel journey. If any of you are embarking on gravel cycling now, or if you're beginner, intermediate, or even if you're advanced and not a pro rider at Mads' level, you're going to gain a lot from this. He talks to me about tire pressure, traction, how much time he spends off-road versus on-road, types of sessions he does, fueling requirements, and one supplement that has totally changed his training. It's a really interesting conversation. I think you're going to love it. Please welcome to the podcast, Mads Würtz Schmidt. Mads, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Mads, I think you're uniquely positioned in that you've achieved a lot of success on the road and then you're coming into the gravel world. But today I'm curious as to the lessons, as to what you know now about gravel cycling that you wish you knew when you were making the changeover. Because I think a lot of our audience they're still skinny tire dudes and they're seeing so much debate about gravel. They're seeing Unbound, Tracker, the romance of gravel that's building, or as you'll maybe call it, the spirit of gravel that's building, but they're unsure where to get started because there's so many moving pieces in this. So I want to kind of build a foundation of knowledge for those people, and we can go as deep as you like on some of the geeky stuff like, you know, tires, pressure, drivetrain efficiency. I know you've got some sort of next level nutrition advice that not a lot of people are using as well. So eager to dive in and see what you know now that you didn't know at the start.
Well, it's like sometimes I think back to when I started, where I didn't know anything, and I kind of wish that I had that beginner's mind because because over the year I learned a lot about tires, tire pressure, tire size, which is the main thing in gravel, is what everybody's talking about before races. What tires are you gonna run? And my first race was, I hadn't got my bike from Specialized before the first race, so I had a loan bike from Specialized, which it was a Crocs Pro, handlebar too wide, stem too short, didn't have a proper fit on it, and the only tires that was available was 42 millimeter Pathfinders from last year. Um, and everybody was talking about it was for Santaval here in Girona.
Yeah.
And I had 4 days of training on gravel before that race.
Nice.
and and everybody was talking, oh, you need 50 millimeter here in Girona. It's rough and it's chunky. And I was training on my 42s, and I was like, this is fine. Like, what is everybody talking about? Because my reference was doing couple classics in Belgium and Paris-Roubaix on 28 and 30 millimeter tires, where you're just bumping around.
Yeah.
And like, this was actually kind of comfy. So like 42s are fine. And the race went rather okay. Like the first stage, I was fourth.
Was this year's one or last year's one? Because they had the hill climb last year, but they excluded it from Santaval this year.
Yeah, it was this year.
This
This year we didn't have the hill climb. Second stage I had to DNF because, long story short, I had a knee injury over the winter. It took about a month to get rid of. And on the second stage, I started to feel the knee a little bit, but I was also like done. Like I came into the race with 3 weeks of like base training. So to get fourth on the first day was way above my expectations, and then the next day I blew completely, and then I started to feel my knee. But
So
the
do you think there's
race
too
was
much? Sorry, do you think there's too much hype around the tires? Because I noticed this yesterday. We have a Roadman WhatsApp group chat for the cycling club, and one of the guys is looking to buy a gravel bike, and he put in a gravel bike for sale, nice bike, but it only had clearance for 45 mil tires, and everyone's coming back to him going, no, you need more than that. Like that, don't buy that bike, don't buy that bike. I was just like, bro, 45s are going to be fine for almost every single ride you do.
I think a lot of guys, they overthink it. like going mountain bike tires and all of this. And maybe it's just the road cyclist in me who's speaking now, but if you're riding in Europe, 45s will get you like through everything without problems. Here in Girona, I race with 45. I train with 45s. The only time I used 50s was for Unbound because I was shit scared of all the, you know, the punctures. And the funny thing about Unbound is you have a 320K race where it's maybe 20K of the whole race that is high risk of puncture. Um, so, and then Ian Boswell, he told me he did Unbound on 45s.
Yeah, I need a good
Uh,
ride as well.
yeah, and he didn't have a flat. And then Matt Beers, he had 50s, and he punctured 3 times before we were even halfway.
But I
So
also
it's
feel with the 50s that this is like, be careful with copying the pros. And I think we'll get onto this with nutrition as well, because, just because the pros are doing one thing doesn't mean as an amateur you should do the same thing. And I feel this with tires, because a large reason from chatting to pro gravel riders on the podcast that they're using wider tires, the average speeds have gone up so much. You look at Unbound, it's 40k an hour average for a large part of the race. So you're in the wheel. No one's really calling shit at that speed in the wheel. So you're hitting potholes. So you want to mitigate that puncture risk, and you've less puncture risk on wider tires.
yeah, yeah, exactly. The thing about it is the way I see it, like I would have loved to race the 45s in Unbound. And I think when like there are some rumors that they will make a Pathfinder 50 millimeters, I think that would be the ideal tire for a race like Unbound. But when you're in my position, like I can control how I race, where I sit in the peloton, and I'm able to, okay, here we are like this from, I can't remember the name of the road, 10K, where it's really rough gravel. I give the guy in front 10 meters and then I can see where I'm going. It's
Yeah.
always about seeing where you're going. And then you can do some effort yourself to avoid the punctures. But I will say European gravel 45s, they are ideal. And then you make it over the rough terrain. Like on Tracker, I did 45s. I didn't have a puncture. I've been training here in Girona and I'm pushing it on the downhills with 45s and I haven't had a puncture in Girona yet.
So in terms of skills, coming from the road to gravel, there's obviously some major disadvantages not coming from an off-road mountain bike background. Like, how does somebody get used to that feeling of the tires moving under them, not having 100% traction at all times? How did you work on building this skill set?
Um, when I was a kid, I started cycling when I was 8 years old. And when I think from 8 years old until I was 15, I did a lot of mountain biking. So I haven't forgotten it, but I will say, like, I think it was 3 years into my pro career, I did a training ride on a mountain bike with my dad and my brother back in Denmark, and I was scared to death. I couldn't handle that bike, like flat bar and it's super wide, and
So different, isn't it?
uh, yeah, I felt like I could go faster on a road bike. So the gravel bike is the perfect mix for me because you have the tires to and the flexibility in the frame to actually handle all of the rough stuff, but it's not a mountain bike. Like, it doesn't handle completely different from a road bike, which is kind of perfect for me. Um, and then I remember years ago we had a training in the local club where a guy who was doing some downhill, he came and he said, the less you touch your brakes, the easier it is to control. Like, you need to learn how to navigate yourself out of trouble instead of break yourself out of
Yeah.
trouble. And I took that with me back then. And then I started, like, as a kid doing these crazy descents. If I go to the forests now in Denmark and I look at the descents I did when I was 12 years old, and I'm like, no way I'm doing that again. Um, but that helped me. And the same goes on the road. Like, when it's slippery, you don't want to touch your brakes. You need to navigate your way out of trouble. Um, so this is kind of what I have in mind. And then I have a pretty good feel for when I go too fast. Like I always go with a safety margin where I'm like, I can save it from at this speed.
Yeah.
If I go too fast, I brake a little bit and go slower, but I always make sure that I have that I'm in control of what is good. Um, but my technique is quite good, honestly. Not to brag.
And are you riding gravel daily, weekly? Like, where's most of the training getting done for you?
I'd say 90% of my training is on the road.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I think a lot of gravel guys, they make a mistake by training too much on the gravel bike. Because when you're on the road, you have a different speed, you have higher cadence, and you get the speed in the legs, and you get those small accelerations. Like if you're doing a bike race on the road, like all of those micro accelerations that you also need in gravel to get over. If you're doing a climb and there's a little bump, you need to, do two pedal strokes to get over it. And I think the speed in the legs is key for gravel racing as well. Because also the speeds are going higher and higher. I only go on the gravel bike if I want to do a fun ride or if I need to train my technique. Like, because when you're going uphill, like here in Girona, for example, a lot of the climbs, they're also technical when you go uphill. Like you need to find the right position on the bike, get the right tension in your body when you're riding uphill, sit the right place on the saddle and find the right spot, like in general to go over the climbs fast. It's not about like some guys, they for sure they do more power than me on the climbs, but it's not about who does the most power. It's about who gets the highest speed, who can go fastest. Where I think technical skills uphill is also quite a thing. And then of course I train on the descent and get into the flow and learn the descent.
But there's a real lesson in that. I think that's important for especially young kids listening to the podcast. There's a difference between speed and power. Speed wins races, not power. People forget
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. It's not about pushing the most power. It's about going fastest.
Yeah. But the demands of off road, if you take climbing, for example, they are slightly different physiologically than the demands of a road climb. Like it's typically a lower cadence, higher torque effort. So do you build that? Like I'm thinking about I didn't race Sandoval this year. I raced it the previous year, and like the backside of L's is just it's steep, it's technical, it's low cadence. Are you building specific strength type sessions into your training in the build up to this?
Actually, no. I've always been really good at torque stuff. Coming from my TT days when I was younger, I always rode a big gear. And I think it's something I just have in my body. Like I do a lot of strength work, um, to, be strong. But I don't really work any specific on the cadence stuff like that. It's I just make sure I'm fit, and then when you're fit, you can do everything
When you say strength work, do you mean off the bike or on the bike strength work?
off the bike.
So what's that look
Yeah.
like?
I have my session I do at home every single day before training, like activation session, but there's also some weights added to that, um, like core, glutes, hamstring, quads, and then I have once a week I go to the gym to do, you know, lifting. But I don't do it like all out. Like I just go get the stimuli on the legs and push some weights, but that's it. Like it takes 20 minutes for me in the gym, then I'm done. Um, and that's basically it.
And your pre-ride activation, what exercises are you going through in that, and how long is it taking you?
Oh, it takes me about 20 minutes. Um, First I do some mobility stuff, just to open up the lower back and the hips and then I have what's it called, Kegel exercises, uh, activate the glutes, a few different exercises. Then I do some core work, and then I have a specific exercise to get the glute medium. firing. Like I'm lying on my side and I have to push up with my
Yeah.
leg, and then I do some Bulgarian squats with a 15 kilo kettlebell. And then I do stretching and I do trigger point on my TFL because that's always super tight on me. And if it gets too tight, then I don't activate my glutes properly. Um, so so that's basically it. And this is I've been working on this like since the start of the year, or last year actually, for more than a year now. Because when I was a road rider, I had for 2.5 years, I had three herniated discs, and that problem was from not using my glutes when I was riding. So the strain on my quads and my TFL and my back would get too big, and then my back would get too tired to hold the disc, and then it would pop out. So it was getting into a routine where it was about activating my glutes. So I would actually use my glutes when I was riding, and that changed everything. So that exercise routine is pretty important to
And
me.
have you changed your training being a gravel rider? I guess you guys race so infrequently. Like I don't know your schedule offhand, but even if you're going gravel earth and some of the lifetime series, there's there's not that many races. Like I was chatting to one of the guys from the lifetime series. Like they're coming up to Leadville, or maybe by the time this is out, Leadville will just have happened. But that's like I'm gonna say the third race in the lifetime Grand Prix series this year, and it's August. Like that's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. No, I don't race that much. So I'm training a lot. But again, coming back to like my volume is not super high, but it's really effective training. Um, if I don't have a rest day, I have efforts. Either it's fat max efforts or it's a mix between fat max and view to max, like you do fat max efforts with some spikes every 3 minutes, stuff like that.
Explain that fat max effort for someone that doesn't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the ISOM 2 stuff where you train your fat metabolism and then yeah, that's it. And then when you're a pro, you get to a certain point where you can't push it anymore. Like then you have to do a lot of fat max training. So now this is what changed for me this year. Like the biggest change was we did fat max efforts with spikes. So you do the spike of 15 seconds after every 3 minutes um, to get some lactate. But lactate is also a source of energy. So when you're doing that in the effort, first of all, you train how to clear lactate faster, but you also train how to use the lactate as a source of energy.
You're becoming solar powered.
Yeah. So 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 I've been doing a lot of that stuff. And over the winter, my the base training before like my big goals of the year was basically that kind of training.
So what's that
And
ride at?
then
What's the at and what are you spiking to?
I'm pushing 330 to 350. And my spike is 550 to 600.
And how long's that session?
It's 4 times 15 minutes.
Okay. So you're how often is the spike? Every 2 minutes?
Every 2 minute 45. Then you have 15-second spike and then 2 minute 45
That's
back in
sticky.
the
That's
in
sticky
the
enough.
rhythm. It is like the last effort is getting hard. Um, and sometimes we also do sweet spot, just below threshold with spikes, or actually do threshold with spikes, and then I have these crazy sessions sometimes to simulate like a race, um, which is only possible to do because I don't race that much. So we can do some training days where we actually make an effort, or like the whole day is an effort to simulate a race and get that in the body to adapt to becoming race ready. And that would be I had a crazy session. A week out of tracker, I had 5 hours, and it started out with 3 times 10 minute 40 20s.
Nice. So ultimate
Then
Kaylee Ferrari session.
yeah, then 20 minutes easy going into 1 hour fat max. with a spike every 10 minutes,
Oh.
20-second spike, uh, 10 minutes easy or 15 minutes easy. Then it was 10 times 60 30s. So 60 minutes on the gas, like view to max, 30 seconds off, 3 minutes recovery, then 3 minutes all out, go back down the climb, do 2 times 12 minutes threshold with spikes, and then fat max home. I came home like 5 hours and my normalized power was 350 watts. Like it was insane.
How are you choosing a route for that?
It was actually, I didn't think of it at the time, but when I checked it, I went, if you're familiar with Girona, I went over Els, the climb we have just next to the city, did my 40-20s. Then the downhill was the recovery and riding out through town. And then I just did a big main road that I knew was about 1 hour to the climb in Amer, which is going straight there is 40, 45 minutes if you're going fast. Then I did the last bit up the climb, then the recovery downhill. Then I started the next effort. Then I did all the efforts out there, like until the threshold, and then back down and home. So actually, when you look at the Strava, it's just one line. It's
Yeah.
like an out and back route. Um, but in a session like that, you're so focused on the work and the efforts that I didn't even think about where I was going. Like I was fixed on the head unit, and then that's basically it.
And why not jump into some local Cat 1 races to get that type stimulus?
I have been thinking about it. The truth is, I don't know how to get into those races.
You need to learn Catalonian.
Yeah, yeah. I was looking for some races at some point, but then I just got out of it. And thing is, like, I also like to be in control with my training.
Yeah, then I guess you're adding a
No,
crash risk in as well, where
yeah, yeah, stuff like that. And I was just at that point, I was just so focused on tracker and what was coming up in May that I wanted to do my training on my own, and because every day is more or less an effort day with efforts, and it was important to me to be 100% in control with what I was doing. So at that time, racing on the road or stuff like that didn't really like it wasn't something I was thinking about. Because I was super motivated, super focused, and really I was on a run. Like I was getting better and better and better every single week, and I made it up to like for tracker, I was the best I've ever been in my life. Um,
and what are you measuring that by? Feeling, numbers.
it's like feeling numbers, like absolute power, but also power to weight, like watts per kilo, and my feeling, like how I could just keep going. And I was doing new records that I haven't been like I was doing numbers that I'd never seen before, and I was like, yeah, it's too good to be true, or like something wrong with the power meter. But
Yeah.
I have an SRM power meter, so it's pretty accurate. So I was everything just fell into place, and I think one of the reasons is that I didn't have that many races.
Yeah.
Like back in the road, like when you're in a world tour team, it's difficult to get a big training block apart from the winter, because when the season starts, you're going from race to race, and then suddenly you think, okay, now I have 2 weeks where I can get some base training in and just focus on the work and try to push myself to a little bit better, become a little bit better. But then suddenly your phone is ringing and you have to fly to Belgium to do a point one race or
Yeah.
Rotan or something like that, and then you get interrupted. And here I had no interruptions. I didn't get sick, I didn't get injured. Everything was just like every day was just working out perfectly, and I could you know achieve new levels in my performance. So it was a great time.
Going into Tracker, were you confident you could pull off the win?
Yes, because of that training I had the Sunday before.
But
I was like,
are you still happy if you come away with seventh place? Like, is it about the process of you going, okay, I've done everything I can to be the best version of me possible. You obviously can't control what other people are doing.
Um, I think for tracker, I wouldn't have been satisfied with anything but the win. Um, the amount of work I've been doing and how well I was riding, and I said it too. The day of the training, this Sunday before tracker, I told my coach, if I don't have any bad luck in tracker, I'm gonna win. I Nobody's gonna be able to follow me like this when I'm going like this. And I said the same to my manager the day before, and like I was so confident that I was gonna pull it off. So that whole build up also, I would have been extremely disappointed in becoming second. But then you can also look at it, if when you're in this situation, say you did your best race, like you couldn't do anything
Yeah.
anymore. Like you pull off the race of your life and you get second. You can be disappointed with the race, but still be proud of the process. Um,
How well did you know the course leading into track? Had you pre-ridden every section of this?
all the important parts I knew by heart. And maybe there were 10 or 20 kilometers that I hadn't been doing on, like out in the flat parts, but all the key sections, like I could ride that without a GPX. So I knew it pretty well.
Hydration hasn't really moved on that much in the last few years. Everyone largely agrees on hydration intake. What really has moved on is nutrition. Everyone is pushing more carbohydrates than ever been pushing before. And I've chatted recently to the two guys that are responsible for this whole movement on the podcast. Most of this modern push towards higher carbohydrate levels comes off the back of a 2016 paper by Dr. Sam Impey, which is called Fuel for
Yeah.
the Work Required. And now Sam is together with David Dunn, and they've put together this nutrition app, Hexus, and a bunch of the World Tour teams now use Hexus. And this is what's kind of causing this move towards the really high end carbohydrate. When you're on sessions like that one you talked about, I can't remember what it's called. I'm going to call it the kitchen sink because there's a little bit of everything thrown in there. That kitchen sink ride, are you using that as an opportunity to practice high carbohydrate level intake, mimicking what you're going to do on race day?
Yes. Every super hard ride I do between 120 and 150 grams of carbs per hour.
It's big.
And a day like that, because the training is so demanding, I also do proper carb loading the day before. Like I treat it as a race day where because I need to be able to repeat VO2 max over 5 hours. So it is super demanding and you need to be properly fueled for it. So it starts the day before with carb loading, low fiber, like full on race routine to be ready to max out in that session. And then a lot of carbs and my new favorite drink in the morning, the Nomio. So it's that's basically what I'm doing. I'm treating a proper hard training day like a racing day.
Yeah, I'm rocking the Nomio as well at the moment. Took Mads Pedersen's lead on this. I seen it this year at Italia. I was like, I got
Yeah,
to get onto this. So Nomio hooked me up with some Nomio as well. How are you finding it?
yeah, I really like it. Like I had a what was it? I think it was during Pyrenees or after Pyrenees. I read an article where there was a quote from Matt in his podcast with his friend, where he said that he used this Nomio, and then it got made me curious. And I was like, maybe I should try and get something to see like what it actually is and what it does. I started reading about it, and I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. Um, then I got a sample, like I don't know how many I received, but they were like, yeah, we'll send you something. Um, then I had a super hot training session, which is it's also one of the days where you kind of go out and you test how good you are.
Yeah, see,
If you
I
can
haven't been
finish
using it
this,
before training. That's interesting. I'm going to start doing that now. I don't know why. I never really even thought of it. But I guess you're
yeah,
trying to
no,
maximize adaptations in every session.
I wanted to test it in training before I do so few races that when I do racing, I'm not gonna test anything in racing.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna test it out in training before, and since I have these kind of hard super hard days. And this day I start with 13 30-15s going into 5 times 8 minutes threshold, and then the last 2 minutes of each effort going up to VO2 max. So 5 times 10 minutes, progressing into VO2 max, and super hard session where I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it for this. And the 30-15s, I could just keep going. The high watts, like the last effort, the last 30 seconds was same numbers as the first 30 seconds. Then going into the threshold and VO2 max, like I could keep pushing high numbers in each set. Like I didn't have to adjust uh regarding to my RPE, or like I could just keep going. And then I came home from the training, right? And I did all the efforts on climbs for the tracker. And I came home and I had the Strava record on 4 out of 5 climbs.
You're motoring.
Um, so I was like, wow, what is this? Like, and then it had me really believe in the product. Then later I tried it for another race specific session, and it was the same. I could just keep going. I could keep repeating those high numbers. Um, and started using it in racing, and it's the same. Like I didn't feel that lactate burnout until the very end of the race. So it's definitely helped me, and of course I also believe a lot in the product, so maybe it makes it even better. But they have some proper data that shows that it actually has an effect.
What do the Giro d'Italia, stage slayer Mads Pedersen and half the professional peloton have in common? Well, they're all turning to Nomio, the natural performance enhancer proven to reduce lactate buildup during intense efforts. In the 2025 Giro d'Italia, Pedersen's form was undeniable. The Danish star surged to 4-stage victories. This was a major leap in form from his previous season, and a key part of this preparation and performance was Nomio. Developed by the same researchers who discovered the performance power of dietary nitrate. You know those beetroot shots that half the peloton were using? Nomio is clinically proven to lower lactate levels, reduce oxidative stress, improve training adaptations, and deliver a noticeable boost from the very first time you take it. Riders are reporting bigger threshold power, fresher legs mid-race, and quicker recovery, all from a formula made with just 3 natural ingredients: broccoli sprouts, lemon, and sugar. Whether you're racing at the front or you're smashing local segments, Nomio helps you get more out of every ride. Take it before key sessions or races for an immediate edge, or take your training to the next level and get more out of your hard work. Go to drinknomio.com, that's Nomio, and check out this game-changing supplement. Details are in the episode show notes or description down below. Yeah, I'll link it below for anyone curious, because I think that's the main compelling argument for me is the data on it. So I'm going to link that below. But I'm curious what your race calendar looks like for the rest of the season, because as you say, you don't race that much. What have you raced so far, and what's left on the plan this year?
Oh, so far I started the season in Santaval. Uh, then I did a UCI race in Belgium, a completely flat course. Then I went into a big training block, threw in the new UCI race around Monaco, uh, and then Tracker. Then I had 3 weeks in the States where I did 2 races before Unbound. Um, I had punctures in both races. They weren't super successful. Uh, and I still felt a little bit fatigued, maybe mentally from Tracker. My shape was still really, really good, but I was always feeling a little bit under when I had to go super deep. And it wasn't until 3 days before Unbound that I actually felt good. And then yeah, Unbound obviously.
Fourth and
The
Unbound,
use
big result.
Yeah, yeah.
Big result
Um,
considering how Unbound played out with the 2 guys up the road. Like,
yeah,
just got a crazy gap and effectively race
yeah.
over.
It was stupid. They had 13 minutes, and I think when we had 140K to go, I was like, we had done some crosswinds before that. I tried to push the peloton in Little Egypt, but I went fast. So when I came to the top of Little Egypt, I was just alone. Uh, so the peloton didn't split. I wanted a smaller group so we could start working together. Then we had some crosswinds where it finally split a little bit, and we became a smaller and smaller group, but still at 140K to go. I was like, we are not going fast enough.
The
Like
mats
they
don't
have,
matter at 140k to go on a 13-minute gap.
yeah, they have 12, 13 minutes, and we need to be going full gas. So then I just went um,
TT
and
style.
breached. Yeah, I went, and then I was like hesitating a little bit because I wasn't really riding away from the guys, but they were coming back to me, and then that what was that? 100K to go, something like that. Paul Voss, he bridged across to me. I was kind of waiting on him because I saw he was coming alone. I was like, perfect. I just need one guy, one more, and then we can go. And I waited for him, and then we just sended it, bridged across to the group of six where Ian Boswell were and some other guys. Um, and we caught them out of the second feed zone. And then there's this climb on road where you turn into the gravel on the top. And I look back at Paul and I'm asking, are you ready? Because I didn't want to go in a group of guys where they had been sitting out there the whole day because they will all be thinking, I'm going to stay on the wheel. I'm not
Yeah.
going to work. So Paul, he said no, but I just attacked past him. Um, and then I could see I got a nice gap. Two guys were 15, 20 seconds behind me. So I waited for them. And then that was Torbjørn, the Norwegian guy, and Brendan Johnston.
I actually didn't know that
Brent,
Norwegian guy.
yeah, me neither. But I don't know anyone in gravel. um, I'm starting to learn who's like learn the names and stuff like that, but I'm still, you know, not very good at all of that. And um, so and Brendan, he was kind of fucked. So he didn't want to pull. So I attacked in tailwind up a climb, and he could follow. So I was like, you're not that fucked, are you? If you
Yeah.
can follow like this. But then he did like one or two pulls, and then he started to sit on the wheel again. And then I just went again. And I kept chasing and chasing and chasing those first
Oh,
guys.
you sound like a
Like,
nightmare to be in a group with.
yeah, I think a
You
lot of
just
it, a
go,
lot of
go, go.
a lot of the guys they hated me. Like one of my teammates, he also said, when you left the group, like he was sitting in the group of favorites there, and when he said, when you finally left, it was like everybody calmed down a little bit. Like finally he's gone. um, and then we dropped Brendan, and then it was me and Torbjørn, and my eyes were set on winning the race. I wasn't gonna ride for third. I could have slowed down and take it more easy, and then I'm pretty sure I would have come away with third, but third or fourth didn't matter to me. So
Yeah.
I was like, I want to catch the guys in front and I want to try and win the race. So I pulled as hard as I could, and I kept doing it until we hit the 8 hour mark, and then I was done. Then I couldn't push anymore. I started, my pulls were 270 watts, and I felt like I was going full gas, and then 250, 240. I just couldn't do anymore. Um, and then in the end, I tried to attack Torbjørn on the little hill before the finish line.
Oh, the tarmac.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I got a little bit of a gap, but then coming down to the right left corners, like the chicane before the finish line, I s- I was just hurting so bad. Like I couldn't push anymore. I just couldn't push anymore. Like, and the last kilometer there, I did full gas with everything I had, and my average for 1K was 420 watts. And I was just, and I came across the finish line, and I saw the moon, I saw stars, I saw like, and I had to lie down. I was completely blacked out. So it was a nice experience, but the way my mentality was in the race was that I'm not gonna settle for third. I'm gonna try and win, and I kept believing I could win until the last hour. Um,
You gonna go back
and
stateside for? Assuming you're not going back for Leadville at this point, but you're gonna go back for Big Sugar. Anything else in the
no,
season?
no,
Gravel
I'm
UCI
staying
Gravel
here.
Worlds.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So I'm staying in Europe for the rest of the season. And I actually I did national championships on the road, and I did a good race. My shape wasn't like in track or Unbound anymore, but I did a good race. It was a super hard race. Like it was 60 kilometers an hour crosswind, and it split from kilometer 10. And I was in the first echelon of 10 guys. It was me, Mats Pedersen, Karl Andersen, all the like Askren was there, like the big
Danish
dogs. And I
nationals is
was,
just stacked though. Like one of my friends
yeah,
went over to do the TT and he's been dominating. He's Danish, but he lives in Ireland. Johannes Ramdal, he works in Fusion actually, so you might know him.
ah,
But he's dominating the TT scene here, and he went over. And I know he had some bad luck and he dropped his chain, but he didn't crack a top 10, and it's like
yeah,
just stacked field.
yeah, yeah. So my shape wasn't the same, but I still did a good race. So the following day, the national coach, Michael Murkoff, he called me and asked me if I wanted to do Tour of Denmark
Oh,
with the
cool.
national team.
That's cool.
So I'm doing
So
that
you're back on the
in
road.
yeah, I'm doing that in 10 days time.
So you're not a gravel bro
Uh,
anymore.
for now, those 5 days I'm back on the road, but then I go back. I'm doing then the following week I do the UCI race in Italy, Monsterrato or something.
Yeah.
And then I do Belgium UCI race, Hufalitze in the Ardennes. Like those two races looks proper hard.
Having
A
sampled
lot of
now gravel life, world tour life, what's a nicer pace of life?
gravel.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I really enjoy it. I have a lot more time at home to see my family. Our daughter, she's 2 years old, and I'm not really missing out on that much anymore.
You miss the
The
guys though?
travel, mm, yeah, I miss some of the stuff. Like I miss having that, like when you're on a race and you're doing good as a team, the whole vibe and all of that. That is something I miss, and I miss that. Um, the spirit we have as a team. Like you're there with the guys, you're on the bus, you're having fun. Um, but at the same time, I was also getting kind of fed up with it. Like I think I wanted to stay on the road initially, but I feel like when I look back and then I see what I have this year, like I think this was the change that I needed in my career. Like I was not ready to quit cycling
Yeah.
when I didn't get a contract. Like I was actually more motivated than ever before. I had some terrible years and some challenging years with uh, my injuries, and I got sick with stress, and I had to work my way back, and it took me 2 years, and then through season 24, I had my back injury again, but I made it back on the bike, and the joy of riding and training and racing came back, and I worked so hard to get back there, and then I ended up after 24 without a contract, and I was just not ready to stop cycling. So then the gravel opportunity arose, and I was like, I jumped it,
How
and
are you
then
finding the because gravel, even for the top guys in the world, it seems to be this game of you need to be super strong on the bike, training almost like a world tour rider, but you need to be building a personal brand as well to give return on investment to your sponsors. That's very different from the world tour where it's just go and be the best bike rider you can. Have you adjusted to this new paradigm?
yeah, like you need to promote yourself, and so I'm trying to be more active on Instagram, and I have had periods where I was better than what I've been the last month. Um,
I'm not sure if I follow you. I'm going to follow you now.
Thank you.
I'm going to follow you and I'm going to shout you out. So there you go.
Oi, maybe I'll get some new followers. Like, no, I have been trying to brand myself, and my number of followers have increased. I think I've since I started to be more active, like 4,000 more followers or something. So it's progressing and it's getting better, but I still believe like my main focus is on the bike.
As long as
Um,
you win, like you win Tracker,
that
you're fourth and Unbound. that papers over a lot of cracks. There's another category of gravel guys who are like, they'll come 40 years, 30 years, 20 years. You need your social game on point if you're not cracking
Yeah,
top 10.
yeah. So I'm fortunate in the way that I get my followers through my performance, um, or if I do a funny post or something like that. But it's I put mine like that's the same. Like you see Jonas Vingegaard, how many followers does he have? And what does he post? Basically nothing. So like I believe if you're a good cyclist and you do well in the races, then all of that is gonna follow along with it. So I put my main focus on the bike and the racing. But I am aware of the impact of social media and that it is important. And I try to post when there is something to post, I will post it, but I'm not gonna post anything on Instagram just to make a post.
Yeah.
Like I want there to be some meaning behind it.
Roadman, whether you're a weekend warrior or a world tour rider, the right tools can make all the difference. Enter 4i's Precision 3 Plus Powermeter, the latest innovation from 4i, designed to help you reach peak performance. The Precision 3 Plus Powermeter is a compact yet powerful unit. It weighs just 9 grams and it's packed with features that set it apart, including integration with Apple's Find My network, giving you the peace of mind by letting you track your power meter wherever it is. Plus, you've got up to 800 hours of battery life. We all know that accuracy is key, and 4i's delivers a groundbreaking plus or minus 1% accuracy thanks to their unique 3D strain gauge technology. For those seeking even more data, the Precision 3 Plus Pro Power Meter offers dual-sided power meter metrics, giving you detailed insights into pedaling efficiency, torque effectiveness, and left-right balance. 4i's offers versatile product options to suit your needs. Choose from ride-ready power meters with pre-installed units on Shimano cranks, or up for factory-installed power meter, where you send in your crankset for a custom installation. Ready to elevate your cycling game? Trust 4i's Precision 3 Plus Power Meter. Precision, performance, and peace of mind all in one. Learn more by visiting 4iiii.com. That's 4iiii.com. I'm going to put that in the description down below. What's 2026 big goals? Defend tracker? Win Unbound?
Yes. Win Unbound is the biggest goal next year. That will be my absolute main focus. But again, the month of May in gravel is so important because you have tracker and Unbound, and you need to be good for both. And if you're good for both, then you will have sponsors, income, and that's just gonna make your career. Those two races, like I could stop racing for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Because I had success in those two races.
And I don't know if you've planned this for next year, but you're gonna have to go through me for Unbound, I think. Like that could change your game plan. I'm not sure if that's how it changes how you approach your winter now. Even we gotta be talking about this.
Yeah, I can. If you get a cap and a bottle, then you can pull for me.
I'll give you everything I have. Just let me be part of this story.
Yeah. No, like that's the big goal. But I'm thinking that next year I will do the track at 360.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Everyone just seems to go longer. Well, now you've won the 200, so it's not like
if I didn't win the 200 this year, I would have gone back to the 200, but now I won it.
Yeah.
And like I see natural to try something else. And I tried the long distance in Unbound, and I'm fine with it. Even though my longest training ride was 7 hours this year, and I only did it one time, and I was still good for almost 9 hours.
You coming to do Badlands in September?
No way. No way. No.
I'm just trying to figure out I'm trying to figure out my kit at the moment. I'm like, how do you charge your bike computer? Like, because my Hammerhead, the battery's pretty good on the new Hammerhead, but it still only lasts, I don't know, 14 hours or something. Like, I'm like,
yeah.
So I'm having to figure out going, oh shit, how do I actually charge that during a race? So
you need maybe 2 or 3 power banks for that race, I guess.
Yeah, I know.
Because you can't, when your power bank is out, then you can't charge that.
Yeah.
So you need I would say you need a few.
And you're going to be through the
Uh,
night twice. Even if you win, you're going
yeah,
to be through the night twice. So it's like
yeah,
you need a power bank to charge your. Yeah, I don't know. I got to figure this out now in the next month.
yeah,
Start ordering
yeah.
stuff.
But then, yeah, but yeah, the rest of the season is UCI races. I only do then I do those two UCI races, and then I have a training block of 14 days. Then there's a UCI race up in the Pyrenees, just 2 hours from here. A lot of climbing,
Gravel.
and then yeah, gravel. Then European Championships in Italy on gravel,
Nice.
and 3 weeks after that, World Championships, and then my season is finished.
Nice. Then you go on the beer
Yes,
down to the Irish pub.
yes. Ah, yeah, yeah. There's an Irish pub here in Girona. Yeah, no. Now I've gotten older and I have a family, so those long nights at the Irish pub, they're long gone. I remember actually one year I was racing Big Bang Tour. I think it's called Benelux Tour or
Yeah.
Renewy Tour or whatever now. And it's late in the season, and then suddenly you have a World Tour race in Holland and Belgium, and you go back to like it's basically every day is like a classic, but in September. So you just after that you're so mentally exhausted that fuck, it's a long week. And then after the last stage, we go to the airport. I sit in the airport with two other guys, and we have like 3.5 hours until our flight. So we just start on the Duvals and the Trappist beers, and we get so wasted. And then we make up this idea like, okay, because we were flying directly to Girona. We found a flight from Charleroi.
Yeah.
Normally, when you race in Belgium, you're on the night flight to Barcelona. So we made the Girona flight and landed in Girona, went straight to the Irish with our suitcases in our team, casual clothing. And then funny thing is, an hour and a half later, the guys who were on the Barcelona flight, they arrived at the Irish pub. The same like team clothing, all of that. And then we had a good night.
Yeah, if that bar could tell some stories, I said there's been good nights there. Dan Martin winning Liège and stuff, big parties in the Irish.
Whoa. Yeah.
Mads,
So
thanks for taking the time for chatting, and we'll catch up soon.
yeah, thanks for having me.